good. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Palm Coast Council Business Meeting. It is Tuesday, March the 1st, 2022. It is now 6 p.m., and we are in the community wing of City Hall. If you would all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Alphen?
Present.
Vice Mayor Branquino?
Right here.
Councilmember Danko?
Here.
Councilmember Kloufis?
Present.
Okay. I have an announcement to make this evening. Councilman Barbosa has resigned his seat on the City of Palm Coast Council. With that said, before we move forward tonight, I feel a powerful need to make a statement to all of our residents as the representative of our City Council. I simply want to give voice to our unity as a community, to reassure to all who call this beautiful city of Palm Coast home that your City Council will continue to work together full-heartedly to ensure you receive the leadership you've come to expect and deserve. Nothing can be more important to all who sit before you on the dais. With that said, I would now ask the clerk to describe the process ahead.
Sure, Mayor, City Council. In accordance with the city charter application, City Council has to make an appointment within 30 days. So applications will be available by the end of day tomorrow. The application will be available on the city's website and social media platforms. Notice will be posted downstairs. Advertisements will be sent. Letters will be sent to the previous Citizens Academy graduates for District 2 seat for the past several years. Applications will then be due March 16th by noon in order to be placed in an agenda for a special meeting on March 22nd. Mayor, would you like to call a special meeting for March 22nd to select the applicant to fill the remainder of the term?
I will call a special meeting on the date.
Mayor, in addition, procedurally, all applicants will be asked to agree not to run for the District 2 seat in the 2022 election.
In keeping with precedent, I agree with the suggestion.
Thank you.
With that said, we will now move on to the next part of our agenda, which will be public participation. So I will invite any member of the public that wishes to step forward at this time and speak on any member that is not currently on the agenda. Please come forward at this time. Are there any members that would like to step forward, please?
Good evening, Mike Martin from Matanzas Woods. I was just wondering if you could give me an update on the restoration of our neighborhood signs, Matanzas Woods neighborhood signs, because some of my neighbors have been asking me where in the process that is. So I would appreciate it if I could get some feedback to give to them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Mike Cocciola from Palm Coast. I want to mention that my wife and I had dinner at the Green Lion the other night, and it was delightful. And what I came to realize was we don't have a golf course with a restaurant. We have a restaurant with a golf course. So I'm really happy, and I want to congratulate the entire City Council for rethinking their initial thoughts on the renewal of the lease. I think you made a good decision to rethink that. I think we have a good vendor there. I do think, though, that we probably need to think as a city that perhaps you can look at the utility costs of having that restaurant there, because we all know that the city pays for all the utilities, and that may not be entirely fair to all the citizens of Palm Coast who do not dine at the Green Lion. So you may want to think about that and renegotiate that part of the lease. I think that would be beneficial to the city. I can't think of a good reason why the current vendor wouldn't agree to pay their fair share of utilities. So thank you, and go Ukraine.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other members of the public? Yes, sir.
Bruce Stone, 63 Simon. I'd like to thank the engineering department for giving me a call on the status of the traffic on Cimarron. Unfortunately, they came out with the following response. They're not going to allow street bumps, speed bumps. They're not going to put up change the sign where it's 20 miles an hour. They won't make that a white sign, which would make it a legal offense. And I just don't understand why. Again, I've been preaching this to this board for 7 years. Someone's going to get killed on that street. And if that happens, the city council is going to have a major problem. The other thing I like to address is, how do you allow the contract with the garbage company not to be negotiated or go to another company? Our current company, you could ask anyone in Palm Coast. They leave the garbage cans in the street. Half the time your garbage doesn't get picked up. So where do you guys go from? And the poor elderly people who can barely afford it now have another stress of expense. I mean, was there a reason why there were no contracts thrown out?
So this is a time for public comment. I think as I've said at prior meetings, it's not a forum for question and answer. What we will do, and what we always do, is record every question, and city staff will deliver a complete, transparent, correct, and up-to-date answer on each of your questions.
Okay, fair enough. And then thank God Mr. Victor resigned. We don't need criminals on this board. And I'm sure you're aware, if he went back to Costa Rica, he'd probably be arrested. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other members of the public?
Hello, this is my first time ever too, but I have.
Please take a moment just to introduce yourself so we have a record, please.
Oh, my name is Marilyn Thurman, Italian nationality. I have 3 different subjects, so am I allowed to come up again?
So you'll be allowed 3 minutes, so speak quickly or.
Okay. My thing is, I'm also upset about the trash. I have disabilities. My mother's 88. I have to tend with her. My pickup is supposed to be the length of a refrigerator. I tend to kill ourselves my husband and I. We're like 70s to try to get everything trimmed, which my property is phenomenal. Do you want me not to trim or argue constantly with when are they going to come out? Do I have to pay extra? No, I can't. We have Social Security. So my problem is putting it out there as neat as we can, and there's too much stress on pickup, and when they don't, and when we can cut the lawn because we can't pick up, especially with people with disabilities. Senior citizens, I think I would like them to be treated a little better in this town. It took me lots of years to move here. My mother's been here 22 years. I've been here a long time, and I just wish they would cater more to, and less bullying of senior citizens by other neighbors also that are younger on different subjects. So that's my main subject for being here. I have more time? Okay. I even forgot what the other subject was. I've never been in front of people like this. I'll just leave it at that and come back if I can. Like my thoughts, am
No,
I allowed to?
this is your 3 minutes to speak. Unless you want to speak about a specific agenda
I do.
item.
I just remembered why the
Okay.
clock's ticking. I thought you lightened up the laws on the trucks. I have a stepson living with me. He takes a work truck home. We have to back it in. That's the only way he can have his job. He has really killed himself to keep this plumbing job. And then someone filled in with someone who was not in on a Saturday. And he was happy, he told me, to catch these people who are trying to make a small living, taking his work truck home, because his boss lets his people take the 10 home because they have to go right out to jobs. So he has to tape up things, which is just a pickup truck, back it in, and he was delighted that he could catch these people on a Saturday. That's not how we take care of people trying to make a living. And I'm like to know what all your stipulation is for the trucks, the pickup trucks. We wouldn't do anything outrageous in our, but to cover a phone number because it's just a little bit more, I never heard of all this. So I'd like to know about that.
Very good. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
comments. Next speaker, please.
Jim Patochik with the Safety on Cimarron Group. A couple of comments. Number one, yeah, we still do have some problems on Cimarron, a number of them from a traffic standpoint, but I guess I was very pleased to see the police presence on Cimarron fairly often. If we could have them more, because what's happens, the gentleman just talked about the 20-mile-an-hour curve. Once people get around that curve, and I've been riding that area for 20 years, once they get around that curve, it becomes a speed track, straight down to Palm Harbor Parkway. And if something could be done there, such as a sign that may say, this is your speed, anything, just keep on reminding people, and also continue the police presence wherever possible. The next thing regarding our favorite subject of safety on Cimarron goes to the engineering study group. Carl Coate and his group gave us a schedule of what he planned to do between now and Thursday, June 30th, 2022, when he presents it to everybody here. And you know what? To date, he has kept his word. Everything he said he would do, he has done. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next speaker, please.
Robert McDonald, City of Palm Coast. Well, all comments are supposed to be addressed to the mayor, which they will be. Now, in the wake of Councilman Barbosa's departure, my question is to the mayor, or to at least to the city attorney. We have an ordinance in the city that said that after an election, all political signs will be removed. Well, we haven't had the election yet, so does that mean that Councilman Barbosa's failed attempt to go for for county commissioner, are we going to be looking at those signs for God knows how long? So I'd like to know how and when any political signs, because we need to change the ordinance, because we have an ordinance that says that political signs must be removed 15 days after the election. Well, does that mean that we have to look at anybody's political signs for county commissioner or anything outside of Palm Coast City Council for the next year and a half? So if somebody could just give me some enlightenment as to where we're supposed to go with Councilman Barbosa's signs and anybody else's signs who go up for the next year or so. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there another speaker that would like to address the city council at this time? Yes, sir.
George Mayo, Palm Coast. First of all, happy Fat Tuesday. Let the good times roll. May everybody enjoy. Secondly, I just want to publicly congratulate Denise Bevins on being our new city manager. I know your positions up here on the dais are all political and elected, but I hope we can work together to help her make our city better and keep it what it is, which to me is an excellent city. Also, thank you for paving the Belterre Parkway between Royal Palms and 100. That was nothing but a series of potholes that you could not avoid, and I'm glad that got done, so thank you to the city for that. And for everybody up on the dais, this is not a criticism, but I have been out with a knee replacement, that's why I have the cane. Listening to you at home, sometimes as you converse back and forth, you may lean back in your chair. And listening at home, you can hear you and then it goes like this. So you cannot always hear you. So just a reminder for everybody to speak well into the microphone, everybody up there, because it kind of gets lost in the muffle, you know, when you're listening at home. And I'm hoping the city, if they haven't already, I don't know, but would put out some peace and hope for all our citizens who have relatives in the Ukraine, and hope for the best. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there another speaker that would like to address City Council at this time?
Alan Lowe, Palm Coast. I'd like to thank staff for meeting with Mr. Mason, who is the professional dredging man out of Bunnell, who has interspace dredging services, who does the entire east coast of the United States. He called me and he had a nice meeting with staff. I'm not sure exactly who he met with, but I appreciate him being able to reach out and have a meeting. I would also like to congratulate your new city manager. I think it's nice that you pulled from inside, so we don't have to train somebody from outside to understand the city, so thank you. Don't really have much else to say today, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other speakers like to address City Council at this time? Seeing none, I will close public comment, and I will direct City Manager, you have a note on each of the comments made, and we will follow up appropriately with each of the questions asked. Thank you for that.
I just have something to add to this.
Please.
And Mr. Michael Ciola, you mentioned something about the Green Lion regarding the utilities. Let me give you some hard facts. I met with staff, and right now, our bills with utilities are as follows. Roughly, okay, we're averaging it. The water costs us $2,000 a month. Electrical, it's $1,200 a month. The propane, it's $600 a month. The garbage, it's a little over $200 a month. Now, the water, we spent 20% of the water. So, we're giving $1,600 a month to the leasee. The electric, for our side, it's an average $200 a month. We're giving the leasee $1,000 a month. The propane, it's $600 a month. We don't use propane. We're giving the leasee $600. The garbage collection, we hardly have any garbage over there. It's $200 a month. So basically, we paying, the total that we're paying right now is $4,000 in utilities. Our share would be, their share should be $3,400. So if you do the math, right now, it's costing us $3,400 a month. That's what's costing the city to have a leasee there. These are hard numbers. It's costing us, after the $600 we get from them, roughly $3,400. I have no doubt, actually I like, and I told the leasee, when I want a mean burger, I go to Golden Lion. I love to go there. But this is just hard numbers. And I don't want to stay away. And I said the last time we were robbing the people of Palm Coast, if we agree to anything, that we have to pay them over $3,000 a month for them to stay there. I don't think I take one iota out of what I said. Thank you, sir.
Any other members of City Council have a comment on public comment this evening? Okay, thank you all. With that, we have the kids in the audience, so I'm trying to move along as quickly as we can. I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes from our City Council meeting held on February the 15th, which was a business meeting.
Motion to approve the.
I have a motion
I'll
to
second it.
approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So clerk, have the count?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. With that, we'll move right on to our presentations and proclamations. And the first presentation will be of the annual Health and Safety Employee Calendar.
Hello, good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Carol Minnie, and I'm the Urban Forester for the City of Palm Coast. And along with my esteemed colleague here, Mr. Peter Roussel, he is the Utility Systems Manager. We are thrilled to be here to honor our youngsters and all their creativity and their effort in putting this calendar together. So we are thrilled to be here, very excited, and let's really give these kids the kudos that they deserve. So just to give you a little bit of overview of the program, so the calendar is comprised of entries from children that are related to city staff. They can be sons and daughters, granddaughters, grandsons, as long as they're related to a city employee. The age groups that we judge is 3 to 6-year-olds, 7 to 10, 11 to 14, and 15 to 18. And the judging criteria that we look for is 40% their originality and their creativity, 10% on the aesthetic quality, 30% on the clarity of their message, and always you gotta have rules, so the 20% adherence to the contest rules. So we will start out by honoring our honorable mention children. Here we go. So first up we have Lila Philippe. She is 8 years old and she is the daughter of Lily Philippe in our code enforcement. Come on up and receive your prize. Thank you. Next, we have Sarah Yanko. She's age 7, and she's the daughter of Alma Rock Yanko. Okay, well, sorry we missed Sarah. We'll move on to Lily Newman, and she is age 9 and daughter of Dan Newman. Yeah. There we are. All right, Lily. Great job, Lily. Next up, we have Harper Pence. He's age 8, and he's the son of Angelina Davis. Come on up, Harper. I love his hairstyle. I wish I could do that. Thank you, Harper.
Harper.
Next is Anna Solomon. She's age 10, and she's the granddaughter of Carol Hickey, who's in our code enforcement. Yes, Anna did not make it tonight. Next, we have Leanna Burke. She's age 7, and she's the daughter of Leanna Burke, who is in our Public Works Department. Okay, next up, we have Tristan Priestap, and he is age 9, and the son of Heather Priestap, who is one of our animal control officers. Well, what's going on here? Okay, next up, Brendan Calderon, age 9, and he is the son of Marvin Calderon out of our Public Works Department. Okay. And we have Harper again, but he's already gotten his prize, but he was an overachiever, and he entered 2. So we got lucky with Harper. Thank you, Harper, for that extra effort. And then we have Noah Schewers, and he is age 7 and is the son of Cynthia Schewers. Yes, yay. Thank you, Cynthia. And then our last honorable mention is Priestley Daniels, and she is age 10 and daughter of Stephanie Angel. And she had enough points to be able to be in the calendar, and she is our December 2022.
Wow.
Thank you, Priestley. So now we are going to move on to the winners of our 3 to 6-year-old category. We will start with 3rd place first and work our way up. So our 3rd place winner is Sophia Minnie, and she's age 6, and she's my daughter. And her topic was, don't eat too much candy or you will get a cavity.
Yeah, look at her smile in the picture, too. Look at
Yeah,
her
and
smile.
she did actually put a cavity in this little girl's mouth, so I thought that was pretty clever. So, excellent.
I love it.
Next up, we have our 2nd place winner, which is Maylee Miller. She is age 6 and the granddaughter of Lee Miller, who is one of our building inspectors. And her topic was, if you see a fire, call 911. Now for our 1st place winner, it is Davis Pence. Come on up, Davis. Yeah. All right, I like the enthusiasm. Fantastic.
You're the boss.
Yeah, go markers.
The boss, Pence.
The markers are washable, by the way. Nice. Because I'm a mom and I've learned that.
Parents, thank you.
So he's age 5 and he's the son of Angelina Davis and our multimedia associate. And his topic was eat fruits. Fantastic job, everyone. So now we will move on to the winners of our 7 to 10-year-olds. We have in the 3rd place, Nathaniel Burgess. He is age 8. The nephew of Caitlin Norberg, who is one of our code technicians in the Code Enforcement Department. Okay, I guess Nathaniel's not here. But of course, this is a topic near and dear to my heart, so it's stop forest fires. When I grow up, I want to be a firefighter. So great job, Nathaniel.
You got it, Chief? Talk to this kid.
Another recruit. Now for our 2nd place winner, it is Viviana Tyner. She's age 7, the daughter of Ray Tyner, who is the Deputy Chief Development Officer in our Community Development Department. And the wonderful thing about Viviana is that she hit every topic there was about safety or health. So there's everything on that page that you may want to know. So I think that's great, Viviana. She did a fantastic job.
That looks like a proud father to me walking up.
Now for our 1st place winner. It is Evan Zaragoza, age 9, the son of Nicole DiMattina, and she is one of our senior staff assistants. And Evan's topic was don't talk to strangers no matter what they say. Great topic. Thank you so much. Now we'll move on to the winners of our 11 to 14-year-olds. So in our third place slot, we have Layla Newman, age 11, and daughter of Dan Newman. He's one of our utility operators. Come on up, Layla. And her topic, don't throw garbage on the beach. Excellent topic. Our second place is going to be Olivia Papa. She is age 14 and the daughter of Jose Papa, one of our senior planners. Her topic is wear sunscreen.
That's her father's face.
Jose?
I tell you, just like him.
Now for our first place winner. It is Lucas De Freitas, age 11, and he is the grandson of Marga De Freitas, one of our senior permit technicians in the building department. And he had a great topic, drive safe and put your phone down so we can all make it home. Excellent topic for these days, these times. Now we will move on to the winners of the 15 to 18-year-old category. Second place is Isabella Papa, age 16, daughter of Jose Papa, senior planner in our community development department. And her topic was stay hydrated. All right, for the grand finale, here we go. First place is Soraya Philippe, age 16, daughter of Liliana Philippe, our code enforcement clerk. I need you to stay here for a minute. So not only did she make first place in her age category, she was the overall calendar cover winner. So we're very thrilled. That's amazing. Thank you, Soraya. And I wanted to show you that we got you a little plaque that has your drawing on it. So make sure that you hang that up and show everyone in your family what a good artist you are. Thank you, Soraya. So thank you all, everyone, for having your kiddos give us those entries. It's always fun to judge and put that contest together. And I did bring some extra copies over by the door, so if you would like to help yourself, and please do so, grab one. Or if we run out and you need more, feel free to call me and I'll be happy to get you one.
So thank you very much for all the hard work that went into this, and parents for encouraging your kids, because these are our future, and I would encourage everyone here to make sure you do pick up your own copy of the calendar, but also don't be shy. Share it with your friends and your neighbors. What these children have put in the calendar, there are some very, very important messages here, and if we don't listen to what they have to say, shame on us. Anybody else want to make a comment?
I would say those are incredibly powerful messages. When we look at who they're coming from, they really hit home, especially the one to me where he said, put your cell phone down so we can all make it home. They're thinking so much bigger than themselves. It's really touching.
I'll
So-
never get tired of saying this. Invest in these kids, because when you're investing in them, invest in their education. And I will not get tired of saying this. If you don't invest in education, you'll be investing in prisons, rehabs, and things of such. So invest in these kids. They are our future. And if we don't like our future, then what are we going to like? Thank you, kids. And the parents, too, because you're doing a good job.
Yes.
Thank you. And just one last time, if residents who may be listening in, if they would like to get a copy of the calendar, how should they go about that?
They can contact Carol Minnie. My information is on the website, or they can just call the office. Everyone pretty much knows me here and knows how to get a hold of me.
Very good. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to a proclamation this evening, which will be the Flood Awareness Week proclamation.
like the one with the cavity. I'm telling you.
Yeah, me too.
I like them all, but that one with a cavity, if you do chop.
Hit home, yeah.
I can't do.
So this evening's proclamation I will read for you now. Whereas Palm Coast has experienced severe weather in the past in the form of extreme rainfall or tropical system events resulting in flooding in various areas of the city, and this flooding has caused damage and flood losses to homes and buildings in all areas, whether they are high-risk special flood hazard areas or low to moderate risk flood zones. And whereas Palm Coast is a voluntary participant in the National Flood Insurance Program that provides residents with the opportunity to protect themselves against flood loss through the purchase of flood insurance at reduced insurance premium rates, as well as setting higher regulatory standards to reduce the flood risk and potential flood damage to their property. And whereas the reduction of loss of life and property damage can be achieved when appropriate flood preparedness, control, and mitigation measures are taken before a flood, and whereas public education and awareness of potential weather hazards and methods of protection are critical to the health, safety, and welfare of residents, the Florida Floodplain Managers Association have declared the week of March 7th, 2022 as Flood Awareness Week to promote awareness and increase knowledge of flood risk, the availability of flood insurance, flood protection methods, and how to prepare for emergencies. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Palm Coast Mayor and City Council recognize the week of March the 7th, 2022 as Flood Awareness Week in Palm Coast. So with that, I will have Jordan say a few words. I can't think of anything that we're going to discuss that will be more important to our futures.
Thank you, Mayor Alphen. So this will actually go right into the presentation we have for you a little bit later on insurance service offices, which rates us in the community rating system, and our class 4 rating in that system is what will allow our citizens to get up to a 30% discount on their flood insurance if they live in a special flood hazard area, or even 10% if they don't. So keeping up with that class 4 rating really helps our citizens. We want to bring awareness to that. So, thank you.
And I would just ask the city manager, who has a background in this area, if she would like to just make a quick comment on to about how important this truly is to everyone that lives in the city of Palm Coast.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Jordan. I appreciate the opportunity. I just want to echo Jordan's sentiment about the basically committing to the community rating system and that standard. So we rank one of 15 only in the nation, I believe, that have achieved that level of standard. And it not only speaks to our commitment of Jordan and all of her team, but it's citywide. It's you'll hear a little bit more about that, so I won't steal that thunder. But it's an everyday activity. We never stop trying to protect our citizens.
Thank you for your efforts, and the 30% sounds good to me.
Very good.
Next item on the agenda is a presentation regarding insurance services.
Good evening. So this was the presentation I was alluding to, and this will be a joint presentation between myself, Chief Forte, and then our Chief Building Official, Mr. Patrick Buckley. So we'll just go and kind of tag team this presentation for you. So pretty much the background for ISO is the Insurance Services Office Incorporated, or ISO as we like to call it, is the leading source of information about property casualty insurance risk. So they go and they rate us on different aspects, floodplain management, fire safety, and building regulations. And these scores help with insurance ratings for people's homes. So it's great that we can get rated by this. The funny thing about ISO ratings is it's kind of like a golf score. You want to have a low score. So 1 is the best, 10's not so great. So it's kind of counterintuitive. We want to have a low score. So you'll see lots of low numbers here, which is fantastic.
All right, so the next 2 slides are about the building code effectiveness grading schedule, or known as BCEGS. This ISO rating for the city currently stands at 4 for 1 and 2 family dwellings and 3 for commercial properties. The rating schedule is based on the 3 main parameters of the building code enforcement, which is how we administrate the codes, how we conduct plan reviews for compliance with the codes, and how we conduct our field inspections. And when the process is complete, the scores are distributed by ISO to insurance underwriters, property casualty insurers around the state, and then those underwriters will use those for premium deductions or reductions, and those reductions are mandated actually by the state, where in some states they're voluntary to the insurance underwriters. In Florida, they are mandatory. These affect all properties in Palm Coast, and whether they're older properties or newer properties that were just recently constructed. And so everybody is eligible for some level of premium deduction, or reduction, excuse me. It's a little bit difficult to pin down exactly what that reduction is. I've not found official documentation from the insurance commissioner, but I've done quite a bit of research, and it looks to be about 4 to 6% based on our current scores. That would be improved if our scores go down, which we are intending to do through the next audit, which would likely be sometime in 2023. Just a little bit of background. There's a slide that shows what the average scores throughout Florida are. And of course, in Palm Coast, like most communities, falls right into those, the 2 major categories. Again, a score of 3 for commercial properties and a score of 4 for residential 1 and 2 family dwellings. A little bit of background, the building code effectiveness grading schedule is very similar to the fire department public protection classification, but has only been in existence for a couple of decades, whereas the fire department program goes back, I'm guessing, close to 100 years now, if I'm not mistaken. It was developed in the mid-1990s following a couple of high-profile natural disasters, including Hurricane Andrew in 1992 and the Northridge, California earthquake in 1994. The purpose of the program is to assess the community building codes and how they're enforced, with special emphasis on how the city, the community deals with mitigation efforts to reduce losses from natural hazards. It's been proven that municipalities with well-enforced and up-to-date codes generally demonstrate better loss experience, which may be reflected in lower insurance rates. Resiliency is part of that, getting people returned to their properties, getting properties repaired as quickly as possible while reducing the overall effects of natural hazards is important. In the 3 categories that I mentioned, administration, plan review, and inspections, there are 1,234 data points that are used to calculate the 2 scores. Our scores are based on a 2020 audit and have not changed in a number of years. We're hoping to improve upon those again in the next code cycle, the audit cycle, and that's likely again going to occur in 2023. The program consists of a questionnaire that is filled out in advance of a visit, where all our statistical data is provided to an auditor from ISO, and then it culminates with a site visit. That's it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We'll talk a little bit about fire and the ISO. And so Patrick's fully aware, I was not there at the very first ISO ever given in nationally, but I was here when we did the first ISO for the city of Palm Coast in the 90s. And to say it was a very cold awakening that we ended up with a 9, despite what we thought we were doing a good job. As much training and work that we were doing, we ended up with a 9 in the 90s. So we had a lot of work to do, and part of that was the planning that you've probably seen from our department coming out in the last 2-3 years, in addition to staffing and the station location studies, and everything that goes into immediate response is brought into the calculations. And what we've got today is now a 2x, which basically means we rank in the top 5% or so, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But in order for the fire department to calculate their ISO rating with the ISO organization, it's not us alone. We have to rely on our friends in the utility department that provides us with the information for the hydrants and the water flow. So what they do is hydraulic modeling, and we work with utility and specifically Chris Johnson, and it's quite amazing where 30 years ago we would have to take pitot tubes and hydrants and go out to different locations and stick them in the hydrant orifices and start measuring, and it was very inaccurate, and now they can tell you by the size of the pipe, the pressure that's in the system, the length of the pipe, and how long it takes to get to the end of what the pressure is throughout the city, and they spot check it, so it makes it a lot easier through hydraulic modeling. Our emergency communications dispatch center down at the sheriff's office has been phenomenal. They have a very high accreditation rating, and for us to utilize them as our resource, we should stay with that standard and keep them as part of our group. That leads us to the fire department, community risk reduction, and the water supply. And if anybody knows anything about our water supply, it's phenomenal. It's not surprising that you would have 50 psi at the engine when you're pumping to a fire standard. It's a great number to have, and not a lot of communities are fortunate enough to have such a strong supply system. And to point out that if we do get to a point where we have a large fire, we always call the water company up, and they can go to the pumps and jack the pressure up a little bit for us to help us out. So that leads us community risk reduction in the fire department. What we'll do is a presentation in April about what we do in the fire department ourselves to look at our organization, and it's a rating system that we grade ourselves, and we critically grade ourselves. And it goes everything from how many engines that you have to service a community, the type of training that you do, the type of company training that you do within the multi-companies, and what kind of training do you do with your neighboring agencies. And it goes all the way down to the point where 11 of our performance measures are tied directly to the ISO, which is what helped us get from an ISO rating of 4 to a 2 a few years ago. The community, well, almost done. Community risk reduction is like Patrick said, it's new to the system for the last 20 years. We've been embracing it for the last 5 or 10 and putting the people in the right places to make sure that they're assessing community risk reduction. And it's basically telling people that what classes they have to take in the department that they can go out and do the assessment of the community and see how they're actually operating. Palm Coast rates numbered within the 3% of all the communities. And there's an interesting dynamic that came to this is, if you can go to the next slide. We started off at a class 9 in the 90s, which is not a great number to start off with, but you're looking at a rural organization way back then that we've been growing and growing, and as we grow, we move into the capacity of where we are today. In the early 2000s, we were a 5, then we dropped to a 4. Today we settle at a 2, which is a pretty good number to be at. We are very close to actually being to a 1, and when you work with ISO, you don't want to have an organization that wants to try to be an ISO goal number 1. You want to have an organization that wants to be the delivery of the best service to the community every time. And then you get judged on what your delivery is through the ISO grading system. And if you go to the next slide. So when we look at things, if you wanted to start a brand-new fire department, you would go to the National Fire Protection Agency's NFPA standards. If you can think it up, there's a standard for it. You want to buy a fire truck, it's NFPA 1901. If you want to hire a firefighter, it's standard 1500. If you want to have an ISO grading for response times, it's 1710, 1720. Every NFPA standard gives you the directions and the guidance on what it takes for best practices in the fire service to give you the best opportunity to be successful. So out of all the codes and standards that we do, which includes building fire stations, fire trucks, air packs, everything you can possibly imagine, it's got a standard that we use as a guide. Those are the leading indicators. This is what it takes to be good. We use the ISO as a lagging indicator to figure out how well we've been performing. So the ISO standards takes all the work that we do, we put it into a certain criteria, we get graded on that, and the performance of what we have been doing for years shows up as an ISO rating, and we're at a 2. So when you start looking at how the fire department's performance is, it's just not the ISO gives you a number, it's everything that goes into the building blocks in order for us to be graded.
And that brings us to our last portion, which is floodplain management. And I don't think Chief could have let it in any better. It's, for all of us, it's all the work that goes into getting these scores, and it's not just, oh, you do one thing and you get this score. It's a lot of work to get these scores for our community and all of our teams that work so hard to get us there. So as I mentioned, we're currently a Class 4 in the Community Rating System, or CRS. We are currently one of only 2 cities in Florida with a Class 4 designation. There are 7 in the nation. And then there are 3 Florida communities with a Class 3 designation. I actually have them: Monroe County, the city of Ocala, and Pinellas County. And there's only 2 cities in the entire United States who are Class 1. It's the city of Roseville, California, and Tulsa, Oklahoma. So they are the only 2 that are a Class 1. Eventually we're trying to work our way up there, but it's very, very difficult. So the CRS is part of the National Flood Insurance Program, and as I mentioned earlier, the National Flood Insurance Program is what allows our citizens to get those flood insurance premium discounts. They work with the CRS, and that Class 4 translates for us. And then this is a graphic that I took from the Community Rating System manual, and it shows how many points you have to get to those certain classes. And right now we're sticking at Class 4, which is 3,000 to 3,499 points. When you think that's a lot of points to get. And if you look over at the second table, you can see the average amount of points that a community will get per section. And actually at number 310, the elevation certificates, at our last renewal, we got 100% on our elevation certificate review, which is fantastic and something that everyone was really proud of when we got that. So we're graded on public information activities, mapping and regulations, flood damage reduction activities, and warning and response. So all of those things work together to get us that Class 4, and we're always working to try and improve those and hopefully get to a Class 3 at our next 3-year cycle. And with that, are there any questions?
Let me just start off. I can't thank staff enough. Obviously, the 3 of you represent a collaborative effort. Collaboration is a very important element of what we all do here in the city of Palm Coast. And I think very few of our residents appreciate the value that you all have offered as staff to get us scores at this level, especially understanding where we came from, where we are now. It's almost hard to imagine that you can achieve even more. But I see the chief's face. He definitely wants to get to the lowest score possible. So I have no doubt that we will find a way to get there. So I applaud you on your efforts, and to be so proud of being a member of such a small, exclusive club, not just in Florida, but throughout the entire United States. Congratulations.
I'll make the chief mayor's words my words. And Chief, you did a great job, except for one thing. Don't laugh now.
Go ahead.
You forgot to explain to us if the pitot tube that you used back then is the same thing that the airplanes used to see the different pressure.
So to put it very simply, it's a very long tube with a gauge on it, and it goes to an orifice that has, it almost looks like the fuselage of an airplane, and it's got a hole in the middle. And the challenge is not measuring it, it's holding it in place, because it has to be 1.25 inches away from the orifice, and the water's coming out at 60 PSI. It's good luck.
It's the same principle.
It
right?
is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just don't take off with the fire department, okay?
Yeah.
I can't top my friend Eddie. So, thank you, folks. Congratulations. Great job.
Councilman, question? Very good. Thank you all for your presentation. Next item on the agenda is a presentation of the International City and County Management Association. Okay, this presentation is in recognition of the SAP team, the Strategic Action Planning team, here at the City of Palm Coast. So obviously, will any SAP members in attendance tonight please join me? I think everybody is here now. I'm pleased to announce that ICMA, that's the International City County Management Association, has recognized the City of Palm Coast with the Certificate of Distinction for their strategic planning process. This year marks the 7th in a row that the city has been recognized with this honor. You can smile. This award acknowledges their efforts to instill a culture of performance management, utilizing data-driven decision-making and promoting transparency. To put it simply, they continue to look at what we are doing today and where we want to be in the future. And they lay out the stepping stones we need to take in order to get there. The SAP process at the city began in 2012, when our now city manager, Denise Bevan, led the team to align city services and programs with the city council's priorities. Thank you, Ms. Bevan, for setting us on the right track and laying the groundwork that we have continued to move forward. The exceptional work group members that make up the SAP team are Denise Bevan, Lauren Johnston, Cynthia Schwers, Brittany Kershaw, Gwen Ragsdale, Tim Wisely, Stacy Davis, and Kevin Brinkley. You all are helping us build the roadmap to the future, and we are so thankful for your efforts. Congratulations. I think what's really important here is this is the 7th iteration of this process. This is how the intricate, complicated budgets and processes of the city come together. They come together transparently. You wonder how things get done. City council is involved. Each of these individuals is involved. The entire city staff, to one extent or another, is involved during this process, which precedes our actual budget creation and implementation. So a lot of this is thankless, hard toil, but they stay at it 7 years in a row, and they do it so well that they have been recognized by the national and the international society that looks over all of this. So congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Lauren Johnson, Chief of Staff, and thank you to our SAPers, and of course, our City Manager, Ms. Bevan, for your leadership, and we continue to carry the torch and the strong guidance that you have given us, and we are looking forward to a wonderful SAP season. get ready. Here we go. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda will be resolutions. If council would read resolution number 6 into the record, please.
Yes. Item number 6 on the agenda is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, approving application number 4999, the Tribute Multifamily Master Site Plan, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for implementing actions, and providing for an effective date.
And we have a presentation.
Yes, sir. Good evening, council members. Ray Tyner, Deputy Chief Development Officer. You may recall the rezoning for this specific project. It was approved or adopted by City Council on September 7th after a recommendation of approval by our PLDRB. Soon after City Council adopted this, the rezoning for this project, the applicant came in with a site plan, and we are ready for City Council to take action. Mr. Hoover will have the staff detailed presentation, and followed by the applicant also has a presentation tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Excuse me. The Tribute is 22.18 acres. It's located on the east side of Old Kings Road, about a third of a mile north of State Route 100. And the applicant has applied for a master site plan for 246 multifamily homes. And since it's over 100 homes or units, it becomes a Tier 3, which is reviewed by the City Council. Raven Chill Holdings, LLC, they're the contracted purchaser of the east half of Track 4 and all of Track 2. And I believe this sale is contingent on the rezoning, which was previously approved, and also the approval of a master site plan, or perhaps the technical site plan, which would follow this. The subject property in all nearby lands to the north, west, south, and east are all designated mixed use. Lands to the northeast in green are conservation. This is our zoning map. The site's multifamily residential 2 in brown, and you can see all the high-intensity commercial or COM3 to the southwest and north, and then to the east is MPD. This is the overall site plan. You can see the curve in the road here where Old Kings Road comes in, and there's a large lake over here. North arrow is to the left on this site plan. You can see it better on this. Here's a little bit of a close-up, and so you can see some of the lakes or drainage areas they'll have. So most of the units will either overlook Kings Point Lake or preserve area on the fringes of Graham Swamp. This is a blow-up of the south area. So the 2 buildings overlooking Lake, buildings 1 and 2, those are 4-story units. They're a little bit larger than the other ones in width also. And all the rest of the buildings, I believe there's 5 more, plus the clubhouse, but the other residential buildings are all 3-story. This is the north area site plan blown up. You can see they have an emergency access that's shared with the property to the north. The main access comes in on the right-hand side of the screen by the clubhouse. So we got 4 more buildings over here. These are the site development requirements from the multifamily residential 2 zoning district. Minimum site area is 4 acres, and they're at 22 acres. Maximum density is 12 units per acre for the MFR2 zoning district. They're at 11.09 units per acre. Maximum impervious surface ratio, which includes the area of the site for buildings, vehicle use area, and all sidewalks, and even air conditioning pads, is the max is 70%. They're just a little bit over half. Maximum building height is 60 feet. They're under the 60 feet. Right now, I think they're showing a little bit under 55 feet, but we're still a little bit early on in the process. So when that technical site plan comes through, we will make sure that the 60-foot is met. As far as parking, the one-bedroom units, there's 77 of those. Those require 1.5 spaces per unit, which would equate to 116 spaces. 2 and 3 bedroom units require 2 spaces per unit, which would equate to 338 more. And then the clubhouse area is done at 1 per 250 square feet of the clubhouse. So they need 10 spaces there for a total of 464. They have 12 excess at this point. The other requirement that we have is that 1/3 of the units have to have garages, which is something that Mr. Tyner has to fight for a lot, because typically apartment complexes, they don't want to put those in. But in this case, the applicant is actually 10% over that. So the minimum requirement is 82 garages. They actually have 90. These are the building elevations for the 3-story. The applicant has some blow-ups of some of these that'll be just showing, I think, the front elevation, so that'll be a little bit more clear to you. The front is at the bottom on both this one and the 4-story. This is the clubhouse building elevation. And the applicant will need to provide 4.72 acres of recreational areas for residents, and that's from the Land Development Code in the recreational section of the comprehensive plan. They have agreed to put a trail easement on the south portion of their property. You could see where an existing trail goes around this lake. It's about 3,600 feet according to our GIS, which is about 50% longer than the trail that goes around the lake right behind City Hall. These are the 5 review criteria from section 2.0505 of the Land Development Code. A, must not be in conflict with the public interest. Staff's findings is that the MFR2 zoning district is an allowed district in the mixed-use areas on the comprehensive plan, and it's going to be easily compatible with other uses that are allowed on neighboring lands that are zoned COM3. B, must be consistent with both the comprehensive plan and the Land Development Code. It does meet 4 goals, policies, or objectives of the comprehensive plan. As it gets to the technical site plan process, it will have to meet each standard of the Land Development Code. C, must not impose a significant liability or hardship on the city. Staff's findings were that public facilities such as water and sewer are already there to serve the site, and during the technical site plan, they will have to meet the concurrency requirements. D, must not create an unreasonable hazard or nuisance. And staff's findings were that the tributes improvements, they're all newly constructed. They'll meet all relevant development standards. It will also be compatible with the overall neighborhood that is primarily surrounded by designated wetlands and undeveloped COM3 lands. The Closest residential place to the north is Hidden Lakes, and then there's another one to the east that's almost a mile, and both of those are separated by the fringes of Graham Swamp. E must comply with all applicable government standards, so these include local, state, and federal, such as St. John's River Water Management District. For public participation, the way the Land Development Code works, we did one for the rezoning back in May. No one attended besides the developer and staff. And so the Land Development Code offers that if you've already done one in your development process, you don't need to do a second one. So we stay consistent with that and don't ask the developer to provide a second. The next steps would be this technical site plan that I'm talking about. So the advantage of this the master site plan is that it avoids a lot of the heavy engineering cost. And so it's really, actually, to me as a planner, it's more enjoyable because I get to see all the layout, but the engineering stuff that other people review, I'm not really reviewing that. But that's actually way more expensive to review than the master site plan. Next, the applicant would apply for a site development permit to allow for them to hold a pre-construction meeting and then construction, and then after the infrastructure is going through the process, they can apply for building permits for those individual buildings. The Planning and Land Development Regulation Board found this in compliance with both the Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Code and recommended approval to City Council for application 4999, the Tribute, a master site plan Tier 3 for 246 homes, so the developer may apply for a technical site plan that would need to meet all applicable development requirements and subject to the following two conditions. One, the applicant shall provide a detailed drawing demonstrating the project meets the minimum acreage requirements for both resource and activity-based recreational areas during the technical site plan process. And two, the applicant shall provide a 10-foot sidewalk or trail easement adjacent to the northern boundary of Kings Point Lake as depicted on the master site plan during the technical site plan process. And the applicant's team is here and does have a PowerPoint presentation.
Good evening. It's nice to see you again. Neil Stacy with Ravenshill Holdings. So the tribute, as you may recall, is named this because of the historic nature of the Old Kings Trail, which runs on the western boundary of our property. It is the inspiration for the design of the project, and we've tried to weave it through all aspects of what we're going to present to you today. This you're seeing in front of you here is our proposed monument sign that will be on Old Kings Road. I'll point to you.
Yeah.
So what Bill had earlier was a little bit more of a civil technical drawing here. We have a little bit more of a marketing piece for our master site plan. This is also a little bit easier to see as it's oriented north, actually on the top here. Just to orient you, we'll have the Old Kings Road is obviously on the west. You can see the green between our project and Old Kings Road is a commercial zoning, which one day will be developed, I'm sure, with something there. We don't know what. Our entrance will be towards the southern part of this drawing here. We'll have one main entrance just south of the one wet pond entrance there into the clubhouse amenity area. You can see the gated entry just to the north of that. The property will be gated for security purposes. So you'll have the one main drive-through area there just north of the clubhouse, which you see in the dark red. And just to make it a little bit easier to see, we've divided again into two pictures here. From the original project that we submitted for consideration as a concept plan back in the third quarter, we've taken a couple of changes since then. One of them being that we've moved one of our buildings that we had as a proposed three-story building on the western side of the project over towards the Graham Swamp side to provide more amenity views of the natural area. We've also created another wet amenity pond on the northern side of the property there to give a little bit of a view there and a buffer between the Walmart site and our property. We have, as you see here, all three-story, 30-unit buildings. In between, you'll see the garages. These are all 9-bay garages. 3 of these throughout the property are ADA spaces, so 3 individual spaces of the 90 provided are for ADA compliance. You'll notice that throughout the property, it's not really well notated here, but we do have car charging stations that we're proposing. We are planning on placing them in the most strategic locations between the garages so that they can service as many potential parking spaces as possible. So that it's not just up to a wheel stop and it serves 1 or 2 spaces. Hopefully this can reach up to 4 spaces for each potential car charging station. You'll also see that in this area here we have a few amenities proposed, particularly a dog park to the north, some other seating areas, and we do have extensive trail system throughout as well. Thank you. And then on the south here, this is where our main amenity bases are located. You'll see the clubhouse with the pool, and just to the south of the pool area there is going to be a green space, which we'll use as a seating area, or perhaps just a grass area for movies or play. And then along the lake, which is our main focal point of the project, those are our 4-story buildings that will be facing out and towards the lake. Seating area there, fire pits, and just general gathering area as a focal point for the community as well. And then also an additional dog park on the far eastern side of the project. So I mentioned that the property is inspired by the Old Kings Trail. And the Old Kings Trail has its history roots back several hundred years. It was originally, as we understand from the archaeologists, put in place by the Native Americans of the day. And then the British, during the Revolutionary War, used it as a supply route. And there are many places throughout this trail, even here in Palm Coast, that have been preserved. But we wanted to use that as the inspiration for the architecture. And this is our artboard for what we wanted to show as how we were going to design the property with balconies and this type of color scheme. And you can see this with our elevations, which are a little bit clearer to see here. This is a 4-story and our 3-story front. And we've tried to not only use the required articulation in terms of depth of project to bring the property in and out, but we also wanted to utilize the left to right part of the buildings to provide different architectural looks along, say, each unit, or even smaller differentials than that. So you'll see different types of design with north-south or plain, or even some just with the balconies there, and the different window structures, some on top, and the balconies are slightly different in some places as well, just to provide a little bit of architectural nuance. And again, these are actually, believe it or not, color drawings, but this is just what this shows up in a PDF. But it's going to look, the colors are West Highland white and Urbane bronze. So it'll be a very nice white with a very nice dark accent colors where you see them to make the property pop and again have that old Florida feel. Just real quickly, the breakdown of the unit types. We have 77 one-bedroom or one-bedroom den units. This is a reasonably high percentage, and we're doing that on purpose because our research shows that Palm Coast is woefully short in these types of units, and there's a great demand for these. And then also, I'll notate that our units, just on average, are generally a little bit larger than what you would see in maybe some competitors or some more urban areas, simply because we like to provide things like extra closets, pantries, coat closets, and larger living and bath areas. So that is just a feature for what we like to do. Here's an elevation of the clubhouse. It'll be a little bit more than a 5,000 square foot clubhouse. On the left, which looks a little bit like a separate barn, that'll be your mail kiosk. But inside the clubhouse, you'll have amenities, offices for the staff, but also a large fitness center, coffee bar, and grand gathering room for residents to enjoy. And then that's an example of the typical 9-bay garage. Again, just some community amenities which we want to highlight. Again, it's Florida. We like to make sure that the outside is enjoyed, not just the inside of the clubhouse. But again, we mentioned the gated access, a large oversized resort-style pool, probably with a sun area where you can sit in about 3 inches of water and a little deck chair there as well. Talk about the beachfront gathering area before. We call it beachfront, but in front of that lake, we're going to really utilize that to be a nice gathering area where you can meet your neighbors and congregate. Summer kitchens. We've done a pier leading out to a gazebo over the lake at previous projects. We plan on doing the same thing here. That will go into the large lake and be a amenity for the residents. Mentioned the main clubhouse. Package rooms, those become more and more popular now with security of packages becoming more of an issue nationwide. Again, 2 dog parks. I mentioned the gymnasium, car charging stations, and then the last, of course, the preservation of the historic Old Kings Road. Here's just some sample pictures of things we've done in the past. Interiors, we like to do top-of-the-line interiors, things such as quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances, classic shaker cabinets, 9-foot ceilings, top-of-the-line flooring, walk-in showers, and I mentioned the closets and the balconies. The landscaping is also going to be slightly different, which you might see in a lot of Florida. We're going to have fewer palms, and that's in correlation with the overall theme of the project being a little bit more old Florida. So you'll see the magnolias and the crepe myrtles more than the palm trees and live oaks, so will be in there as well. So bring you that native look. So the Old Kings Road, as I mentioned, is also going to be a third main focal point, including the clubhouse and the lakefront area. This is going to be an amenity that is going to be outside the fence line that will be provided for the public to enjoy. We have parking spaces that will be set aside for the public to come. It is going to be, I think, 880 feet in length. It's a 40-foot wide designated area, so we'll have a full trail, and that trail will be natural. So you see some pictures here of some bricked areas that have been preserved in the city. That brick was laid down decades ago, but ours does not have brick, but we will have a nice natural finish for this, provided with benches and a kiosk that the archaeologists we're working on will work with to put there some information on the history so that it can be a historical marker for the city as well. And just another slide on the history of the Old Kings Road. And so that's the presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
So, if I may, I would just update your presentation constructively. The Old Kings Road, probably, according to local historians, dates back to the prehistoric era. where dinosaurs may have traveled that road. It was in fact an animal trail before indigenous Americans used it, and then subsequently other groups. So I bring that up because you have a lot to protect. We consider the Graham Swamp area as a very important amenity to our community, and it looks like you've done a good job to buffer against any, degradation to the Graham Swamp resource itself. I did have a question. Appreciate the community aspect, so the community will be able to utilize the pathways. Are you responsible, will you be responsible for maintaining that stretch of community pathway?
Yes.
You will, okay, good. That was my question. Other questions from City Council at this time?
No, I have none. Presentation was sufficient. Thank you.
I just think that was a very beautiful presentation, and I wish you would be building one-family homes. That's, it's not a secret. I've been consistent in that. And I have a problem with high density, and I'd like to make it clear. My problem is with high density, not diversity. Let that be clear. Let that be clear. I do have a problem with high density because I came from where high density actually killed the cat, if I may. So everybody knows what my vote's going to be on that, but still a great presentation. Thank you.
Councilman?
Great presentation. I have no questions.
Very good. So at this time, and thank you for addressing our questions. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward and comment on this resolution at this time? Seeing none, I will close public
Ma'am, could you come up to the podium, please, and state your name for the record?
Marilyn Thurman. I listened to the whole presentation. I'd like to become more involved. That's why I'm here. I agree with, I'd love to see more smaller, affordable homes for families instead of apartments. And second of all, Native Americans did use lots of palm trees, several tribes. It's not just the trees he's suggesting. We are in Florida. That's my only comment. But it's nice.
Thank you for your comment. Okay. Any other members of the public like to make comment on this item at this time? Seeing none, I will close public comment and come back to the dais. Any additional discussion at this time? I would ask the clerk to do a roll call vote for us, please.
First, we got to make a motion, right?
I'm sorry.
Yep, I will make a motion to approve the Tribute Multifamily Master Site Plan Tier 3 application.
Thank you.
I will second the motion.
And I have a second. And now correctly, thank you for correcting me, I will ask for a roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Branquinho.
No.
Councilmember Danko.
Yes.
Councilmember Clufus.
Yes.
Mayor Alphen.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-1.
We'll now move on to item number 7. And if council would please read number 7 into the record, please.
Yes, this is a resolution for the Sesame Boulevard streetlight design. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, approving the terms and conditions of a work order issued to LTG Inc. for engineering design services for the Sesame Boulevard streetlight design, authorizing the city manager or designee to execute the work order, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for implementing actions, and providing for an effective date.
And we have a presentation at your pleasure.
Good evening. I'm Michael Grunewald. I'm the traffic engineer for the City of Palm Coast. So this presentation is a request for the council to approve a work order with the design consultant LTG. LTG is proposing to design highway lighting for Sesame Boulevard. If you recall, recently we had a project on Citation Parkway. Citation Parkway, as part of that project, was renamed Sesame Boulevard. So you'll see in the red outline, the entire loop, including what formerly was called Citation Parkway, is included in that lighting proposal. This lighting proposal for Sesame Boulevard is a continuation of the city's 10-year master plan that the council asked the city staff to put together for lighting the major arterials in the city of Palm Coast. Sesame Boulevard is next on the list for lighting. And I'm going to keep it short for your pleasure. That's all I have. We're looking to design the lighting, looking for you to approve the authorization for the lighting consultant.
Okay, thank you for your update. This is part of a schedule of upgrades and updates regarding lighting, I assume, and this is...
Correct. And Sesame Boulevard has reached the top of that list.
Okay. All right, so I would ask City Council some questions here.
Basically, this is, there's no money that we're going to spend in construction. That's all going to be done by FPL, I understand.
The process of these projects is FPL is the constructing agent, as you stated. FPL requires that the city hires a design engineer to design the project first. Then we take the project to FPL, and there is often a component of cost that the city has to pay up front for the lighting, but it is essentially a lease contract where the majority of the cost is paid in a lease contract over time.
I just think that that type of money should be shown to us what it is, because after all, we're going to approve the design also.
So if I could just as a footnote, that number has been in the prior budget. This is not a new item, is that correct? Was this, City Manager, has this number been in a previous budget?
It's in the approved budget, and Carl Cody is nodding accordingly, but if you need any information specifically.
Should bring it up again, but it's not, this is not a new budget consideration
And
now.
do we have any idea how much it's going to cost to maintain those lights on a monthly? Do we have, this is not a criticism, just do we have any idea?
Personally, I'm not aware of what the monthly cost is.
Okay, all right. I just want to put it up there. I think there's costs involved, and usually I mean, once again, it's not a criticism for staff, but I think we should be informed of averages and everything, because we have to respond to the people out there, and if we're not informed by staff, and I'm not saying staff is hiding, by the way, okay, I just say that we should know a little bit more about that. That's it, no.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilman, any questions? So I would open the item up for any member of the public that would like to comment at this time. Please step forward. And again, just for the record, please state your name for us.
Marilyn Thurman. I don't know how to propose it to maybe the police or somehow. I think it's it's gotten out of hand with a handicap parking. A lot of times, working from a hospital environment, I'm pretty in tune to people who are disabled. And a lot of the parking is young people who are using a deceased little thing that hangs, family member or someone else's, their car with their mother.
So if I may, is this pertinent to the discussion on the lighting that we're discussing?
No, this is just open to the public for something else.
For this agenda item?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay.
I thought it was just
Sorry.
another.
You have a chance at the end.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to comment on this item at this time? Seeing none, I'll come back to the dais. Any final discussion on the dais?
Motion to approve this work order.
Thank you. I have a motion.
I would second that, but I would also just like to comment that this is great work by our staff and also city manager and the current council, but also previous councils that have instituted our continuous street lighting program, and this is just a continuation of that. And this is something that the public very clearly indicated that they wanted years ago, and we've done a great job thus far, and I'm thankful that Sesame is now on top of the list. We get a bunch of requests often for this, but yeah, thank you to staff.
Agree.
Very good. Okay, with that said, then I would, we have a motion and a second Then I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Branquinho.
Yes.
Councilmember Danko.
Yes.
Councilmember Clufus.
Yes.
Mayor Alphen.
Yes.
Motion passes 4 to 0.
Very good, thank you.
Let there be
Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. From City Council, are there any items on the consent agenda you would like removed at this time?
No.
Seeing none, let's see. Look at the public?
Open. Open to the public.
Yeah. So I would open the consent agenda to the public at this time. Are there any items in the consent agenda that the public would like to comment on? Seeing none, I will close public comment. I will come back to the dais. Any further discussion? Then, now I would ask for a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda as read.
And I'll second it.
So a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The clerk has the count.
Motion passes 4 to 0.
I think if I'm correct, we now move down to other business.
Yes,
And,
agenda item 17.
sorry?
Agenda item 17, other business.
Yes, so I think the clerk covers this, is that correct?
Yes, Mayor, City Council, in accordance with the interlocal agreement with Flagler County, the Affordable Housing Task Force appoints residents to the board. It is the city's turn to appoint. There is one application, Ms. Tedra, in your agenda, so you would just need to appoint that person.
Can you just briefly describe to us, before we move forward, on just the responsibility?
I don't have that knowledge, I'm sorry. I don't know enough about that board, because it's a county board, I apologize.
Okay.
Jason, do you have more information?
Mr. DiLorenzo, can you just help us with that just for a second?
Jose would be a stud on this one too.
Yeah, he's not here tonight.
Good morning, Jason. Good morning, gosh.
Usually.
Jason DiLorenzo, Chief Development Officer. It's an interesting board. It's actually a county board that the city appoints someone to. And the Affordable Housing Task Force deals with the affordable housing issues throughout the county. They review the SHIP program and other items.
Okay, I appreciate that. So I will reinforce, so I'm the former chair of that committee in years past, so it actually does make a difference to a significant number of families throughout Flagler County, both in the housing side and also on the rental side, the sale and the SHIP programs. So we have just one applicant. I'm sorry to see we only have one, but at this point, I guess I would, do you need a motion for this, for the appointment? So you've all had a chance to review the credentials in your package. I would ask for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded.
So I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Then I would ask.
I would just say
yes.
I appreciate the service of volunteering. It's important for us.
I appreciate that as well. So without further ado, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously for the clerk. Now we move to the next item on our agenda, which will be the final public participation for any item that has not previously been discussed on the agenda. Thank you for your patience.
I'm sorry I interrupted before. Yeah, I think it's gotten out of hand with the handicap parking. I don't know how it will be patrolled, but there are several young people using the thing that hangs on their mothers, there's someone else's, and I don't know how we can do that, but I know you get the license plate, that's what you get. And in addition, you get the little hanging thing if you're a passenger in another vehicle. You can't just get the hanging thing without the license plate. So the people that don't have the license plate aren't in the handicapped car. So it's gotten out of hand. I'm tired of reporting it to the local publics or whatever so these people can move, because if you've ever seen someone take 25 minutes to get out of a vehicle, someone else doesn't deserve to be parked there. So I don't know what we can do, but I think it's a problem. It's more a problem than you think. There's more cars without that. You can be sure that if they don't have that license plate and they don't have something hanging, or they have something hanging, I bet it's not the handicapped person most of the time. So if we can look into it, or I don't know how to address it.
Very good.
That's it.
All right, I thank you for your patience and your comments.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, my voice, is discussion by,
There's, Mayor, I believe is there any more public participation?
oh, I'm sorry. I
There's a lot of
apologize.
finger pointing.
But who's on first?
Mayor and Council, Gene Dowd, W section. I'd first like to take the opportunity again to thank the city staff and the employees behind me and the ones that work every day for the city. They do an amazing job. I don't think it should just come from the council. I'd also now like to thank you, Mayor. I walked up here 2 weeks ago and shook your hand because you said when you ran for office that you would get the public involved. And at that meeting 2 weeks ago, there was a motion made to try to take maybe some of the fire out of the meeting. It was a 6-hour meeting because I sat through it with you guys. And you allowed the public to speak, whether you agreed with it personally, individually, or not. It was an amazing thing to watch and listen to. And I thank you, Mayor. I also thank you, Mayor, for breaking the meeting up because I came for different reasons last week or 2 weeks ago. I had to park around the corner. I got here well before 9 o'clock, and I thought they were here for some of those issues. But you, first, again to the council, thank you for naming the ball field after Mr. Berryhill and the Pine Lakes Walk for Shirley Chisholm unanimously. Thank you, Mayor, for taking the break, because I got to meet the acting or interim city manager during the break for the first time and told her personally that there were members of the community that were so proud to have her in that position. She acted above and beyond, and I want to thank her. Last issue, Mayor. There was a lot of discussion about the trash pickups and everything else. So my question to you, is that the same company, FCC, that does Polk County? Because the day after the meeting, or Thursday, there was news articles all over the news about people waiting 10 to 14 days to get their trash picked up by FCC Environmental. If we had selected them, would we be criticizing the employees of Palm Coast, because we took that company? If it's one and the same, we're lucky we didn't take that company, but from what I saw in the news. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your comment. And yes, I have another speaker.
My name is Sims Jones, it was 27 Buffalo Bill Drive in Palm Coast. And I just want to say thank you to the mayor. Last Sunday, we had an event where people of color got together to talk about problems and situations that are going on in our cities and our community. And it was nice to see that we had someone from the government there. So I just want to say thank you, Mayor, you was there. You know, some people don't like to come to these things because they feel that they may be attacked or whatever, but you came, you heard what the people had to say. Even some people had some things to say to you, but it was still good, and I want to commend you for coming and hearing what the people, what problems that they had, what situations they was thinking about, and you was able to hear firsthand what the people were concerned about. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any remaining members of the public that would like to make comment at this time? Seeing none, I will close public comment at this time and move on to discussion by City Council of matters not on the agenda. Councilman?
Nothing, sir. I have none today, thank you.
Councilman?
I just,
Vice Mayor?
next Saturday, unfortunately, due to a previous engagement, I will not be able to respond to the Little League and be there for the naming of the field for Mr. Hilberry. So for that, I apologize. I'm pretty sure I already spoke with staff to do something. The other thing, let me see if I could get to the end without getting emotional with this. We're talking about Ukraine. We all seen what's going on in Ukraine. We have quite a few people from Ukraine in this town. We've all seen images. I've seen images on the Portuguese TV 2 days ago of a father leaving the country, Portugal, that he lived 22 years. He's got a 16-year-old. He was getting into a bus to go fight in Ukraine. He left a 16-year-old behind. Not easy to see. Mr. Putin, you're no genius. You're no savvy. You're not a smart man. I don't admire you. You are a lying autocrat who just put us on a nuclear forces alert, trying to intimidate the rest of the world, the democratic world, and you've been killing Ukrainian and Russian people. You're a narcissist, psychopath, just get out of Ukraine. And now, the last one I heard is that he's trying to do what he did in Syria, which is using thermobaric weapons, which are considered second only to nuclear power. Get out of Ukraine, Mr. Putin. It's only up to you. This is what happened when we have a deranged man as a president. Did you see those kids? Did you see the pictures of babies dead? Get out of Ukraine, Mr. Putin. Shame on yourself. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Vice Mayor. I have comments this evening. I will ask my fellow councilmen to show me their patience for a moment. It's important enough, I think, that I will go through this. When I took my mayoral oath of office last year, I accepted the responsibility to commit to absolute transparency and to exercise public discussion whenever possible with my constituents. I'd therefore like to raise a subject with you concerning a topic that will impact all that is fundamental to future generations in Palm Coast: compensation of city council members who represent us on city council. I realize that it is a dubious proposition for elected officials to talk about pay raises, but I hope you'll give me a moment to convey my rationale for this conversation. People often think that serving on a city council is a hobby or a part-time job. This is most certainly a misjudgment. Palm Coast elects 4 city council members and a mayor who each serve for 4 years to legislate on behalf of their district constituents. This includes defining future vision, reviewing and approving the annual budget, attending meetings inside and outside the community, confirming long and short-term objectives and priorities, establishing tax heights, entering into legal contracts, passing ordinances and resolutions, and borrowing funds. Their hours of work touches every single aspect of our lives in Palm Coast. We're coming up to the time of a year when council tackles our 2023 annual budget and when we become involved in another election. While we continue to welcome the many new residents who are moving here, this is why I believe now is a good time to discuss the feasibility of appropriate compensation for city council members. What exactly does appropriately mean? I'm not certain, but here is some data to consider. Number one, when Palm Coast first incorporated in 1999, city council members received $1,200 per year. 21 years later, their salaries are now $9,600, also receiving reimbursements for expenses related to council business. Number two, based on a Florida League of Cities survey and of mayor council-managed cities with 2019 populations of similar size, the median city council annual salary and compensation exceeds $30,000. Flagler County commissioners are currently paid $54,746. Flagler County school board members are paid $34,594. How much are our city council members worth to us? Where do we want to be on this issue? I want to be clear. We all acknowledge the honor and service our 23 Palm Coast City Council members have performed since 1999. My intent is not to do only recognize the valuable work they've done, but also to grasp the changing dynamics of our city as we move through the coming decades. Palm Coast City Council is charged with the responsibility for managing accelerating growth and realizing unprecedented economic opportunity. Operating our government is becoming more complex and sophisticated. We need to attract candidates who can share a smart and managed growth mentality. And we should appeal to people who can afford to give us their time and talent, not only because they believe in service to their community, but also because they are suitably remunerated based on their commitment and responsibility and experience. I believe that raising salaries would expand our pool of qualified applicants, giving us a city council we respect, expect, need, and deserve. And with that statement, I will pass the gavel to the Vice Mayor.
Oh, boy. It's going to be good.
And I will make the following motion. To direct the city attorney to prepare an ordinance increasing the council members' compensation to $44,670 and the mayor's compensation to $46,470, and directing the city clerk to place this ordinance on an upcoming city council meeting agenda for consideration, discussion, and action. That is my motion.
I heard the motion. You have any comments, Councilman Danko?
Well, I will say I didn't take this job for the money. I think I made more money back in 1970 when I was 16 years old cutting lawns and working part-time at a bowling alley while in 11th grade or 10th grade. But I do appreciate it because I know everyone here spends a lot more time than just sitting here through a meeting every week. I know Mayor Alphen has been all over the map doing things, going to Tallahassee, going to all sorts of events and stuff, meeting with citizens. I know each of you, Councilman Burkino and Councilman Clufus, do the same thing. I know I get emails and calls all the time. Residents ask me to come out and look at something, and I do, and then I bug somebody like Denise about it or whatever. I do think, I don't need the money, but I do think the mayor raises a very, very important point. We will attract better candidates, and we will attract better council people. Not to say that you guys aren't great, but we will attract the cream of the crop by increasing those salaries. And I look at Flagler County and what our counterparts make there, the commissioners, we make up most of Flagler County. We handle bigger things. So I'm absolutely in favor of doing this, as long as we don't have to raise taxes to do it. That to me is very important, and I hope we head to a bit of a rollback this year as our property values have increased dramatically here in Palm Coast, all across the country, and folks are getting hammered, you know, whether they go shopping, you know, at the supermarket or they're buying gasoline or whatever. So, but I think this is, it's about time. It's long overdue, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for having the courage to step forward and do this, because it's not something that's going to get you reelected by asking for more money. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I fully support this, and I will go along with it.
I'm in complete agreement with the previous statements. Essentially, the importance of finding qualified candidates to fill our council is of the utmost importance. And I think the public recognizes this, and I think when they see the amount of work that the City of Palm Coast staff and our council put in when we were at events, when we're out in the community, when we're responding to residents, I think they understand the extreme responsibility and how fragile of an environment this is to have very qualified and reasonable people sitting up here on our council. And I think the success of our council and our city is a function of the diversity of our council, but also the skill set. And I would love to create an environment where we can attract potential candidates that have, that would otherwise stay out of the political realm because of a non-competitive salary compared to another position. And as far as Flagler County is concerned, I would say that we even have workshops where they've eliminated workshops. We have more meetings per month than them as a governing body. It's very clear that we definitely put in the hard work, but I think not for the money, but more for attracting the correct candidate to fill our seats as we move through this process is really important. And for those reasons, I'm also supportive of this.
I don't even know where to start. The first time I ever got involved in politics was back in New Jersey with the Board of Education. I got paid $0. Labor of love. When I came here, I would do it for free. So $9,000, $600. For me, even though what we work, we make 30 cents an hour, like I said the other time. Question is, would we do a better job here if we get paid more? Will we get a bigger pool of people applying for the job? I don't know. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm not in favor of raising our salaries, with all due respect, and I mean with all due respect. And trust me, when it comes to politics, means nothing because I'm not running again anyway. So that would make nothing for me. But I think that said, bring it to the, even as a motion. Shall I bring it to the public?
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Hold on, just a second. We have a motion on the floor, but we don't have a second yet.
I'll second it. I'll second
Okay,
it.
okay.
Mr. Vice Mayor, if I can make one more comment. The other part of this that I think is important, as we all know, the expense of actually running for this office. Yeah. And yes, you ask for contributions. I've gotten very good at asking people for money. In fact, if you guys could give me some money before you leave, I'd appreciate it. But the bottom line is you reach into your own pocket and you spend a lot of your own money to get elected to this office, not to mention just the time that it takes. And I've spoken to potential candidates in the last couple of years, and once they discover what it costs to send out a mailing, what it costs to do Facebook boost for advertising, what it costs to just, flyers and signs, and you guys know the whole 9 yards. A lot of people say, well, it's not worth it. And they're good people, but they're just not going to throw their money at it. So I'm hoping, to me, I see that as being another reason to attract better people, or just, everyone's, we have a lot of good people, but just to get people to invest their time and their effort so they know they're just not throwing their money away and never going to see it again. So that's another reason I see. But I respect what you're saying. I was hoping maybe a raise would maybe possibly get you to run again, but
Thank you for your comments. I'll take it to the public now. Anyone in the public wish to make a comment regarding this proposal to raise our salaries to $44,670 per council person, and the mayor $46,470 a year. And of course, that will be plus the phone and the car mileage and all of that. So the same thing, except the only thing that changes is the thing. So make sure that we have that clear on the motion.
Vice Mayor, if I may, for just a
Absolutely.
minute. So what's on the table is not a motion to do this. It's a motion to direct the city attorney to prepare an ordinance. And the reason why that is that the charter requires that for a compensation change for the city council members and the mayor, that it be adopted via ordinance. So what the motion on the table today is to direct the city attorney to, myself, obviously, to prepare to prepare an ordinance outlining the amounts that the mayor listed, and for the city clerk to put this ordinance on an upcoming agenda for further discussion. So this will come to the public on at a minimum, 2 more occasions.
With that said, I'll take it to the public. Anybody in the public would wish to make a motion? I mean, to make a motion, Jesus Christ.
To speak.
To comment on this? Just a motion.
Sims Jones of Palm Coast. I'm a firm believer of the Bible, and the Bible said a workman is worthy of his hire. So I'm in agreement with a raise for the council members, but I don't think that should be a prerequisite for getting council members, because we have some council members, we have some county commissioners who, in my opinion, shouldn't be. But if we get them on how much money they're gonna get paid, we're gonna end up with nothing but clowns and people of problem on our city and county commissions. We need to get people of good character to be on there. When you have people of good character, people have no problem paying those people and giving them a raise for the work that they do. I think it's more important that you have somebody with good character in office, on the job, doing the job. Then you will never have no problem about going for a raise and whatever. But don't let the raise be the prerequisite of people getting, wanting to sign up to become county people or whatever, because all you're going to get is well-paid clowns. So I'm in agreement for it as far as a workman is worthy of his hire, but that shouldn't be the prerequisite. It should be really based on the character of the person.
Thank you, sir. I see one more person.
My voice is new. I'm Marilyn Thurman. His voice is old. Yes, I believe in the character. My brother's a councilman for many years in Jersey, and he's got excellent character, but the pay is pretty bad. And a happy employee is a good employee. I do believe that it should be raised to an agreeable amount. And as far as who the candidates will be picked, I mean, it's just like when you hire anybody. I hope that you pick out the best characters. I like Eddie, but I'm new at this, so I hope I see people that have good character, but you should be raised. It's not enough money.
Thank you
That's
for
my
your comment,
opinion.
ma'am. I just had a question for our council. Council, nothing changes other than the salaries. Everything else stays the same.
That's the motion on the floor.
Okay, so, and we are still going to be paid $44,670 as a part-time employees. Is that correct?
Is that a
Because
question?
we are part-time employees.
Is there a legal question
Yeah,
involved
yes,
there?
we are part-time employees.
So the motion on the floor is to raise the city council members' compensation to $44,670, and for the mayor, $46,470.
And-
I've heard no other changes.
Okay, now, Mr. Mayor, the only other thing that I may ask, I just asked the same question, and we still remain part-time employees.
So my motion doesn't change our job description in any way.
Meaning we still wouldn't have access to health care or anything like that?
Yes.
Yeah, understood.
And not that we have to work 8 hours a day here. Okay, all right, I just want to make sure that is clear, okay? So based on that and on a motion made, I'll ask for a count, please. A vote. I mean.
Mayor Alphen,
Yes.
Councilmember Danko,
Yes.
Councilmember Clufus,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Branquinho.
No.
Motion passes 3-1.
Motion passes 3-1. I'll give you back the,
Thank you. Next item on the agenda would be comments by city attorneys next, I believe.
Yes. I just have one comment, just an update on the recent legislative action last Wednesday. If you remember the sovereign immunity bill was slated to change the sovereign immunity limits for local governments, it's been amended. And the amendment was actually positive for our city, because instead of going up substantially, it's now set at a tiered level. So for example, for Palm Coast, any city whose population is between 50,000 and 250,000, the sovereign immunity limits would increase to $300,000 per person and $400,000 per occurrence. So instead of it being, one and the same for all levels of population, it's now tiered and substantially decreased from where the bill started. And that's all I have.
Anybody have any questions on council's comment there? No? Okay. Next item on the agenda would be discussion by city manager. Do you have any points to make?
Just one quick item for city council. You may have noticed something that looks a little different in front of you tonight. It's a graphic. And as we work towards going into our next budget process and our strategic action plan process, it's a quick glance graphic for our budget. And I would just, again, applaud the strategic action plan team, SAP, and communications for their diligence in setting everything into motion that helps council as they move forward. That's it. Thank you.
is this to stay here, or we take this writing pads with us?
It will stay here. It'll be distributed each meeting.
Good. I just want to.
I was going to take it home and use it as a placemat.
If you'd like to take it home, we can have replacements available for you.
It's a wonderful guy. Okay, with that, I would ask for a motion
I'll make the
to
motion.
adjourn. Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you all.
Have a great night.
Take it easy, my brother.
Hi, thanks.